I have a question. Should we compel young Americans to honor their country through the Pledge of Allegiance? I'm torn on this. I'm torn on it because I am a libertarian. And as a libertarian, I believe in a country that is big enough and believes in liberty and freedom enough that even if I disagree with you vehemently about your position on whatever it might be, say Israel, Palestine, Hamas, for example, our country believes in freedom and liberty so much that you're allowed your viewpoint, I'm allowed my viewpoint, and we go about our merry way. We believe in a country so much. I said this during the NFL kneeling deal, that's a private business decision. That is not my decision. It is my decision to turn off my television and stop watching the NFL if they're going to dishonor their country during the national anthem. I have a choice to make, too. You can make a choice to kneel. The owners can make a choice to allow you to kneel, and I can make a choice by leaving. But there was a lot of clatter at the time about we should force them to stand. No, you shouldn't. However, what are public schools?
Government schools.
They're government schools. If I go to a Catholic school, do I expect there to be prayer?
Yeah.
If I go to a government school, why shouldn't I expect that there would be a recognition of and due respect toward the government that funds the school? That's where I'm torn. And if you dislike it so much, there are private school options available to you.
Forced patriotism is fake patriotism.
I would not force anyone to. I wouldn't force anyone to sing. I believe that there should be the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe that there should be the Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem. I don't believe in forcing anyone to participate. Because you're right, forced patriotism at some point becomes totalitarianism. Forced patriotism at some point becomes a rally in Nazi Germany. And we certainly don't want that. But our young people are losing a sense of what it means to be an American. As a matter of fact, it is in vogue. I don't know if you knew this or not. It's in vogue to be anti-American and has been for quite some time. And I think part of this is they don't understand the alternative of loving one's country, and they don't fully understand how good we have it in the United States of America. So many of these college professors, so many of these high school teachers are infusing in the minds of our young people that America is a bad place, and here's the list why. Instead of balancing that, recognizing the faults of this country, recognizing the bad things that have happened to this country, but at the same time recognizing the wonder that the Western world and Western civilization has brought to the rest of the globe. Now, why do I bring all of this up today? There is a state senator in Alabama, and I obviously, having lived there for 20 years, I kind of, I poke an eye over to Alabama news every so often, and I noticed this story. Alabama senator wants to make schools play the Star Spangled Banner. Alabama State Senator Gerald Allen would like to hear the sounds of the Star Spangled Banner emanating from every school in the state at least once a week. In fact, he would like to make it mandatory. Allen has pre-filed a bill that proposes to mandate local boards of education create policies that mandate every K-12 public school broadcast or authorize the performance of the Star Spangled Banner once a week during school hours. The bill's goal would be to mandate a new or higher local funding expenditure within the section's parameters. Because the law falls under one of the section's specific exclusions, doesn't have to be approved by local government, yada, 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 enacted by 2/3 of the majority to take effect. And then the article, which was presented by AL.com, which is a decidedly leftist organization in the state of Alabama, it's kind of like the Tennessean, a little bit like the Tennessean, not as full-throated weirdo leftist as like the Tennessee Holler and Canoe, but going there, getting there, They had to find students that were disagreeing to this. At least 2 students at Birmingham's Ramsey High School don't like the bill. Michael Cameron, a junior at Ramsey, believes that students should focus on their work rather than the national anthem. There's only a small amount of instruction time throughout the day, so students need to focus on that, Cameron said. Well, that's nice. Students actually wanting to focus on instruction. Senior Camille Bailey of Ramsey said modern students don't even know the national anthem by heart and don't think it's authentic. Listen to this. This is a senior student in Alabama. I don't think it's needed, especially in my high school, because we don't believe in it. This bill won't change that. We don't believe in it. What do you mean we don't believe in it? You don't believe in America? You don't believe in that which it symbolizes? You don't believe that the story actually happened? You know, it was a poem before it was our national anthem. And as a poem, it's pretty powerful as well, if you think about it. Now, I've never liked it as a song. I would prefer maybe God Bless America over the Star Spangled Banner, but it is what it is. I don't debate that, but as a statement, Francis Scott Key, what he wrote is powerful because the United States of America was engaged in a conflict by which they regained their liberty and their independence. They were fighting a revolution for freedom, and they believed that the England and the king had become tyrannical in its nature. They were not represented. The colonies did not have adequate representation, yet they were being taxed what they considered to be into oblivion, although their taxes were far less than we pay now, honestly. And so they engaged in a conflict for their independence. And the symbol of the flag, oh, say, can you see, or the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. You see, the night had fallen, and whilst the bombs that were bursting over Fort McHenry would illuminate on occasion the flag over the fort, the flag was a symbol of who controlled the fort. Who controlled the fort controlled the fight. Who controlled the fight potentially won the war. And it symbolized either independence or dependence. And so his was a struggle to see whether or not the stars and stripes symbolizing the United States of America still flew over the fort. It's a great testimony. But more than that, it is a reminder of what this country represents at its finest. Have we ever lived up to that? Of course we haven't. Do we strive to do that every day? Of course we do. In a positive way. And our kids are losing that, man. Maybe not yours, but a lot of them. They're not learning it in the home. In the home, sadly, and in many school settings, sadly, they're learning, all they learn is that America's a bad place, an oppressive place. As opposed to, on balance, recognizing that America is and continues to be that shining city on a hill. Or at least it did at one point. So no, Bell, I would not force any student to sing or any student to necessarily even stand. But I think there ought to be a recognition. And to hell, why shouldn't we recognize it in government schools? That's what they are, government schools. Government schools, would you expect a Catholic school to be anti-Catholic? Would you expect a Baptist school to be anti-Baptist? Or any religious school to be anti-religion? Yet government schools are, they might be pro-government, but they're anti-country. And they seem to be anti-patriotism as well.